Advantage of it. Stop in today at Westside Decorating Center. Good morning. Welcome to hour number 2 of the Art Lewis Show. We have some special guests in studio with us this morning. One who has been here many times, and we welcome him back to the program. We say good morning to Bishop Bob Gruss.
Thank you, Art. It's great to be with you again.
Good to see you,
I always
Bishop.
enjoy spending time with you.
Me too. Also with him this morning is a seminarian, but a seminarian with kind of a different story, and he's a local boy too. We say good morning to Charles Warner. Good morning.
Good morning, Art.
Good to see you.
First time on the show. Great to be here.
All right, so Bishop, I'm going to let you kind of introduce Charles because what he's doing is unique, but you did it too, didn't you?
I did. You know, like myself, Charles had a career before seminary life, and he can maybe talk about that a little bit.
Yep.
But then somewhere along the line, you know, the Lord started tugging his heart for him to think about something a little bit different. We call that the priesthood, and so he began this discernment process while he was working for the FDA in Washington, D.C., thinking the Lord perhaps was calling him to the priesthood. And then from that point, he contacted our vocation director and myself, and we began the conversation about what that might look like for him. And then he was willing to give that up, put that behind him, and begin to seriously discern this vocation that the Lord was placed on his heart on this journey to the priesthood.
And how long ago was that, Charles?
That was COVID year, so 2020
Oh, wow.
was when I officially entered seminary.
So you entered seminary, and you've completed your degree from the SEM, right?
Correct.
And that was in what?
I just completed that degree earlier this spring.
And what do they call that degree? Are there different ones you can get?
You get a degree in theology.
So it's theology.
Yeah. There's a process that goes on because he had a college degree. In order to get into this, into seminary, major seminary, you have to have so many credits of philosophy and theology. And because his degree is in something completely different, he went to Sacred Heart Seminary in Detroit, for 2 years for what we call pre-theology, and so to get the requirements necessary, credits in philosophy and theology to enter into a major seminary.
All right, so let's go back to the beginning here. You have a degree in biomedicine.
Biomedical engineering.
Biomedical engineering, right? Working for the FDA.
Correct.
The bishop mentions the Lord calls upon you. When did you first know it?
I think I first knew probably like 2019 is when I was pretty sure that the Lord was calling me to the priesthood.
Let me back up just a bit. Did you grow up in a religious family?
Yes. So my family, devout Catholics, always went to church every Sunday. Like that was just a part of growing up.
You were an altar boy?
I actually was not.
Really?
The one thing I would say that really cemented my faith, growing up, I have an uncle that is a priest, and I would he would celebrate Mass at my grandmother's house, and so I would be his little altar boy there at Mass with my grandma, my siblings, my parents.
And you're from where?
From Saginaw, I would say. That's where my parents live now, and that's where I went to high school.
Where'd you go?
I went to Saginaw Heritage. Graduated in 2009.
So you're in the SEM. You're doing your studies. And from what I hear, the phone rings one day. And the guy you're sitting next to is on the other end of the phone, except you didn't answer it.
Correct.
Tell that story. This is funny.
I was that summer. It was the summer of 2022, and I was in Nebraska, Omaha, Nebraska, doing this summer program to help further my spiritual life towards the priesthood. And it was about mid-July, and I get a call. I see a call on my phone. It says South Dakota, and I was like, no one's calling me from South Dakota.
So you didn't answer.
I didn't answer.
I wouldn't answer.
I didn't answer, and a voicemail was left, but my phone never gave me the notification of a voicemail. It was only later that I received a text message saying, "This is Bishop. Can you give me a call when you have a chance?" And then I was like, "Oh, I wonder if you." And then I recognized the phone number, South Dakota. I was like, "Oh," and then I checked the voicemail.
In other words, you never updated your phone.
Right, and I still have it.
You still, yeah, I know.
So if you get a call from a South Dakota number,
Answer.
call.
So what were you asking him to do?
So I was on vacation with my priest friends, and one of the priest friends is the rector. He had, like, the new rector of the North American College. This was a number of years ago, and it's a good friend of mine, and he's somebody I deeply trust. And the seminary was kind of going through a transition, and he became on as rector. And in the course of our conversation on vacation, I was just thinking about, I would love to send a seminarian to the North American College, for a couple of reasons. One is that's where I went as a seminarian, and secondly, I was on the faculty there, a number of years later. And so I always thought, it'd be nice to give one of my seminarians that experience of studying in Rome. And so it was in July, and it's kind of late in the game, really, to be sending somebody to the seminary there. But I had a conversation with the rector, and he said, "Oh yeah, go ahead. There would be a place for him if he's willing to go." So that kind of precipitated my asking, Charles, if he would consider going to the North American College.
And let me understand this: the North American College is in Rome.
Right. It's the American Seminary in Rome, owned by the bishops of the United States.
Why? Just out of curiosity.
I don't remember.
Why is it there?
I don't remember the year. Probably Charles is probably more up to date on these dates than I am. But a number of years ago, back in the 50s, I think, I think the U.S. bishops were approached by one of the congregations in Rome about starting an American seminary in Rome, and they would provide the property to do so. And so I think over time, the bishops agreed to that. Thought it'd be a good idea. It'd be a great idea to give American seminarians one to have that U.S. presence in Rome, in the Vatican, in Vatican City, but also to give American seminarians a Roman experience as part of their seminary education.
So you get the offer.
Yes.
Did you say yes right away?
No.
I mean, you were given a lot of time, at least, 3 or 4 days?
Given till the weekend, yep. Because in order to make it there, if the answer was yes, the process had to be started pretty quickly. So Bishop gave me the option to say yes or no. And really, at the end of the day, it was an easy yes, because it wasn't a yes to Rome. It wasn't a yes to what I would like. It was just a yes to, this is what the Lord is asking of me. And so in that way, it's an easy yes.
So you're going to go to Rome to study. Other than grazie and mangia, do you know any Italian?
I know some Italian, yes. So far in Rome, my classes have been taught in English. And at the North American College there, the language was English because we're all
Sure.
we're all American.
Yeah, I was going to say.
So my daily exposure to Italian speaking is limited. I know kind of casual daily conversation skills, but this upcoming year my classes are now going to be in Italian, taught in Italian. So my Italian needs to be better than what it is now.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. Come back. With us in studio, Seminarian Charles Warner and Bishop Bob Gruss. We will return after these notes.
Gotta go.
Steps on the way?
Yes, Bishop was explaining earlier that the first step is kind of getting that understanding of philosophy. So kind of getting that background of philosophy degree in the pre-theology program. And that's all tied with all the elements of formation. So you have the academics, the spiritual, the human, and the pastoral. That all continues throughout all of seminary. But after your philosophy, then you enter what's called major theology. And this is where you then start specifically studying theology. So just who God is and who Jesus is and all those aspects, even like church history. And once you complete that theology degree, then then pretty much you've completed the academic requirements to be ordained a priest. But before you're ordained a priest, you're first ordained a deacon.
That was my question.
Yeah.
And what's the difference?
Well, I mean, so he'll be ordained in October of this year, coming up, a transitional deacon. So, we have permanent deacons, like his father is a permanent deacon for the Diocese of Saginaw, and but it's, a deacon is restricted on what sacraments he can preside over and ones he can't, that are reserved only to an ordained priest. And so he'll be a transitional deacon, meaning he's transitioning from the diaconate into the priesthood.
And that's what? How long a period?
It'll be, roughly 8 months. Well, so he'll be ordained a transitional deacon in October, and then he'll be ordained a priest, God willing, next, we'll say late June or early July.
Do you come back here to get ordained a priest, or do you get ordained in Rome?
I'll be back here to be ordained a priest, but my diaconate will be in Rome.
And once he's here as a priest, thrown right into the fire?
Well, so his next process, his next academic work is to begin a licentiate program, and so that's a 2-year program. So this next year he'll complete the first year, and then we'll make a determination whether he goes back to Rome, the fall of 2026, to finish the licentiate, or he'll stay home for a year or two, get some priesthood experience, and then go back to finish the degree. But no matter what happens, at some point in time when he's finished, he will be put into a parish, and as the beginning as a parochial vicar. They call him a parochial vicar. He's basically an assistant priest with the pastor.
But given all of his education, all the time he's spent in seminary, he still has a few years to go before he finally gets his own parish.
He does, because it's the worst thing a bishop can do is put a newly ordained in charge of a parish when he has no parish experience. So the goal is to get him into a parish and get a lot of pastoral experience, and really kind of learn and grow into this role as a priest, because it's a completely new role for a guy just getting ordained. It's nothing like he's ever experienced before. And the only way to get that experience is to go into the parish and begin doing daily what priests do, and that's where he gets his experience, and not just the pastoral practice, but also learning the administrative part of running a parish. Because
you mean there's a business part of it?
There is. It's a business. Parishes are businesses in their own way, and so. You don't get much training in the seminary regarding the administrative, the business aspect of parish life.
Oh,
it doesn't quite fit into the curriculum, because there's so many. The curriculum is so packed with things that are necessary for the identity of the priest, and so they get the administrative education once they get into a parish, and hopefully they're placed with a good pastor who can teach them, inform them in that area of parish life.
So have you studied sermon writing?
I have, yes.
Have you ever read Ken Huntner's book?
I have not read his book.
I have it if you'd like to.
Oh, great.
It's a very funny story, and I think I've told the bishop this. And the Bishop Hunter and I were friends, and he took a sabbatical, went to California, and wrote this book on sermons. And toward the end of the book, there's a whole paragraph on words you should never use in a sermon. And I had to introduce the bishop for an award. So in my introduction, I used every one of those words. And he's sitting next to me, and I get this elbow. He said, "You actually read that, didn't you?" I said, "Yeah." But it is that is a skill, isn't it, Bishop?
It is, and it's something you grow into. I mean, I don't expect any newly ordained priest to be an exceptional preacher, and to be honest, for not all priests are exceptional preachers. It's a real art. It's a real gift, and not everyone has that gift. But hopefully, all priests work hard at that putting together a homily for Sunday on a weekly basis, because it's really one of the most important moments in the lives of the parishioners that come to that Mass, is to hear the Word of God being broken open in a way that they can understand it and take it to heart. So it's it takes work, but it also takes practice, and practice makes perfect, right?
So they say, yeah. We'll take a quick break, come back with our guests. We have more coming up on the Art Lewis Show.
We're proud to make...
And we are back with you here on the Art Lewis Show, in studio with me, Bishop Bob Gruss of the Saginaw Diocese, and seminarian Charles Warner, who, when do you go back to Rome?
Next Sunday.
Whoa.
Pretty
And
quick.
You'll be there how long?
I'll be there until next June, probably.
Let me ask you this, Charles. You made a commitment at the call of the Lord. At any time during this process, have you had second thoughts?
Not since officially entering seminary. Part of before entering seminary, I was praying for probably 2 years of whether this was right for me, whether this was what the Lord was calling me to do. And there was at one point in time where I did say no. I said, no, I don't think this is for me. And but following that was a period of time where I just felt very devastated, very alone, because at the end of the day, I said no to God, what God was asking of me. And then, but finally when I said, like, I had enough of that feeling, and I was like, okay, Lord, if this is what you're asking of me to consider, I will consider it. And ever since that moment, there's just been peace about
So
this is what the Lord's asking.
From that
me.
moment, was that the time when you said yes?
That was the time I said yes to just listening to the Lord, and like it was like yes to consider priesthood as an option, and that yes has just only been further like confirmed that the priesthood is for me.
Bishop, it's a big decision to enter the priesthood.
It's a huge decision.
Did you have the same feelings?
Well, when the thought of priesthood first entered my level of consciousness, it was my first year in college, and I rejected it totally. I said, this isn't the most ridiculous thought that's ever entered into my mind, and I'm not interested in this in any fashion, shape, or form. And so it's not what I wanted. I wanted to get married, have a family, and so I just dismissed it for about probably 13 or 14 years. But the Lord is the hound of heaven, and so he never stopped pursuing me. And even during that period of time, I sort of fell away from really. I became a lazy Catholic. I'll call myself that during that period of time. But then I had a reversion to the faith, where I became really. I started pursuing the Lord in a new way, and it was during that time that I came back all in, if you will, into the sacramental life of the church, became a committed Catholic, and once that happened, then one that opened me up to really hearing what the Lord might be asking of me in my life, but then the thought of priesthood came back. And so I decided, okay, if this is it. The only challenge for me, Art, was I was dating a girl and we had talked about marriage.
Well, Charles, I told him he should have become an Episcopal priest. He could have got married, then converted back into Catholicism.
And so then I had to make a decision. So that's why in the end I wanted to do the will of God, and she wanted the will of God for our lives. So I quit my flying job and I broke up with her and I went into the seminary.
Yeah, it's, for those of you who don't know, you were a commercial pilot,
Yeah, corporate pilot.
corporate pilot for, what, 10 years or something like that?
Yeah, I flew for a living for almost 10 years. Yeah.
So that's not an easy transition.
No, but it's been an amazing journey, and I've had so many just phenomenal experiences, as a human person, but also as a priest and a bishop. So, when you say yes to the Lord, He's full of graces and full of this profound experiences and things that you would never have otherwise. I mean, I think about Charles. So he said yes to going to Rome, and he spent. He was at the conclave at the election of the new pope. I mean, outside in St. Peter's Square with everybody, and he's met Pope Leo as well. And so, if he wouldn't be in Rome, if he was not a seminarian, he would have never had any of those kinds of experiences that will impact the rest of his life. And so, it's when we say yes to the Lord with an open heart and an open mind, and trusting that the Lord will lead us to the right decision. That He's calling us into, then it's just filled with. It's just filled with so many graces and blessings.
In the Father Bob crystal ball, did you ever see Bishop?
No, and in the Father Bob crystal ball, I prayed it would never happen. And I mean, a lot of times over the course of time, as I moved through different assignments, a lot of people, many people say, "Oh, you're going to be a bishop one day. You're going to be a bishop one day." And I kind of rejected the thought. And then I was hearing it so much, I really seriously, I started praying that the Lord, that this would never happen. But when you're open to what the Lord wants, and you get the call from the nuncio, all of a sudden, the Holy Father has appointed you the bishop of Rapid City. Do we accept? I thought, that prayer was not answered. The Lord's answered a lot of my prayers, but not that one. But even, my 14 years as a bishop has really been, 8 years in Rapid City was a great blessing. Many gifts, and my 6 years here in Saginaw has just been a great blessing to me.
It's amazing. It's been 6 years already.
Yeah, it goes quick.
Just unreal.
Goes quick.
Do you see Bishop in your future, Charles?
I'm just worried that one step at a time.
That's a good answer. We'll take a break and we'll be back.
Retirement is more than a...
Yeah, Pope Francis more than once, Pope Leo only once so far.
And did I understand, and I had seen something you had done, you were instructed when you met Pope Francis to speak Italian, which you don't do. What was that conversation like?
It was very short, very brief. We're only given probably 10 to 15 seconds of interacting with the Pope. And so pretty much all the words I could get out was like, grazie, and he smiled. So.
A little easier with Pope Leo.
A little easier with Pope Leo, yes.
Yeah, you didn't have to worry about the Italian so much. Huh?
Yeah, we were not given any instruction of needing to speak to Italian to him.
How long did you have with him?
Same amount, 10, 15 seconds. But from what I got from that, he was very attentive the entire time, listening and caring, and just kind of like that constant joyful smile about him, and kind of one of those things. Like I was like at the end, I was like, I'm praying for you, and then I was just anticipating him not to say anything and then just leave. But then he said, I'm praying for you too, and I was just like, wow, you could just tell, like, yeah, he was listening, and I, when he said that, I was like, I know he's praying for me.
Have you met any of them?
I've met a number of the popes. I haven't met Pope Leo yet, but when I was in the seminary, John Paul II was there, and I met him 4 different times, served Mass for him twice. Pope Benedict is the one who, appointed me bishop for the first time, and so I met him when I was on the faculty at North American College. We had an audience with him, and I got to meet him for the first time then. And then when I went to Rome for what we call baby bishop school, after I was ordained a bishop, I met him then, and then I met Pope Francis a couple of times as well. One was for a limited visit, and then another one was at a papal audience. As
the head of the church changes, you have a new pope. How much impact does that have on the church?
I think it has a big impact, to be honest, because I think each pope, obviously, they bring their own uniqueness to the position. They bring their own way of thinking, what they think about, what they believe is important for the church today in the modern world. And it's not that there is obviously there's continuity from pope to pope, but they also bring their own unique gifts, and so I would expect that Pope Leo will be a little bit different than Pope Francis, and what his priorities might be, and how he sees the world, and what he believes is most important for the church of today, and he'll bring his own unique set of gifts and talents and to that as well.
The church has gone through some tough times, well documented. We don't have to push on those. Do you see a recovery?
Art, I think right now, at least in the United States, I think it's worldwide. There is a hunger for the Lord. There's a hunger for a deeper spiritual life. Young people are thirsting today, and we see that just by the number of people coming into the church at Easter time, not just in the United States, but throughout the world. I mean, France has been, over the last many years. I mean, their mass attendance has been, dismal. And I read somewhere this year there were 78,000 people in France came into the church this year. 78,000. So that speaks to a real hunger, and it's with young people. The young people are looking for meaning in their life, and they can't find it in the culture. And so I think in many ways they've turned to the church because they're beginning to see the value and the importance of this life of faith for them. And really it helps give them meaning in life. And so I see a resurgence really in America, but also around the world, and in a desire for this, for their lives. It's great.
It begs the question then, do you see other Charleses, young people willing to go into the priesthood? Because that's been a problem.
It has been a challenge. Young people today have to kind of go through their own conversion, kind of a conversion experience, really to experience the Lord in a newer, perhaps a unique way, to get them to begin thinking about perhaps the Lord might have a vocation, a religious vocation for my life. And but once you go through a conversion, then you're more open to hearing and really what the Lord might be asking, and you're also more inquiring. When I went through my own reversion or conversion back to the church, like all of a sudden I wanted to do what the Lord wanted me to do. So my prayer just, Lord, tell me what you want me to do with my life, and I'll do it. And so that's what happens when a person really falls in love with the Lord and falls in love with the faith. That it moves them in a direction to an openness that they didn't have before, and so I think that's what's happening in our world, in our culture today. So it's going to take some time for the vocation challenges to catch up, but I think we'll get there. I think we're on a good path right now. Takes time. It just takes time.
It's something you have to internalize.
Yeah.
No human on the outside can tell you do it.
No.
It only comes from your internal desire in the Lord.
Absolutely. That's only where it comes from. Otherwise, if someone tells me, "Well, I want you to go be a priest," and oftentimes when I encourage people to think about a vocation to the priesthood, young men, even in this diocese, they're like, "Well, I'm not really quite interested in that," and that's fine for right now. But at some point in time, hopefully there'll be an openness in their own heart to hear, really to seek what the will of God for their life, not their will, but because when we're doing the will of God, we'll be the most happiest, most fulfilled person we can be.
It's an awakening, isn't it, Charles?
Yes, absolutely.
You've lived it.
Absolutely, yes.
Well, you have too, Bob, but you don't remember it.
No, I do. It's a profound moment in my life, so you'll never forget that.
You don't, do you?
Mm-mm.
You don't?
No.
Well, Charles, look, we wish you well.
Thank you.
Eventually, you'll be back here serving the diocese, and we'll look forward to chatting with you again.
Sure thing, Art.
And congratulations on how you've made it so far.
Thank you.
Bishop,
He's
it's always fun.
He's a great seminarian. I think he'll be a great priest. And I have a lot of